Under the ice of frozen lakes is a secret world. Well, at least for us. While the surface freezes, life carries on in the cold, dark waters below. But how do fish survive these frigid conditions?
With all my years of ice fishing experience, I'm curious as to why they slow down the longer the ice is on the lake.
Edgar, you're right on cue. Today, we're peeking under the ice to see how fish, these creatures of the water, deal with the coldest months. How do they survive under a solid ceiling of ice? Fish are cold-blooded, and so as the water cools, the fish enter a state similar to hibernation called torpor. Their metabolism also slows down significantly, conserving energy.
Just like me on a cold winter's day, taking it slow.
Exactly, Edgar. But there's more to it. This slowdown is a survival strategy. With a lower metabolism, fish require less oxygen, which is critical because oxygen levels in the water drop during the winter. When lakes freeze over, the ice forms a barrier that prevents oxygen from entering the water from the air. Meanwhile, plants and algae under the ice continue to produce oxygen, but at a much slower rate in the limited sunlight.
So the fish are really playing a waiting game, hoping to outlast the winter on limited oxygen.
Precisely. And that brings us to the question of, how do they do it? And do they have any neat strategies to deal with these challenges? All right, it's always a good idea to turn to science. So, a study from the University of Toronto, Mississauga, reveals that fish behavior in winter is significantly different from what is observed during the summer months. For example, lake trout, typically a deeper water fish, were found to move into shallow waters during the winter, a behavior that's not commonly seen in any other season. And this movement brings them into closer proximity to other species like bass, which they typically don't interact with that much.
That would be like finding polar bears and penguins vacationing on the same ice floe.
Quite an image, Edgar. But surprisingly, even though these species share the same areas in winter, they don't seem to compete for food, as the bass enter a state of semi-hibernation and their activity levels go basically almost to zero. This study provides crucial understanding of how fish adapt to winter conditions and how interactions can change quite dramatically during this period. Also, an article that I found from Michigan State University explains further how fish slow their metabolism to conserve energy, a necessity when food is scarce. Some enter dipods, experiencing significantly lower heart rates. We know that the ice cover complicates matters by limiting oxygen diffusion, and this compels fish to minimize their oxygen needs. Despite these adaptations, though, unfortunately, in some cases, especially in lakes that have high plant and algae growth, oxygen levels can become too low for fish to survive, meaning a die-off in that lake on that particular winter. These studies provide a view into some of the adaptations and changes in behavior that fish undergo during winter under the ice. They highlight the fish's resilience and their ability to adjust to the challenging conditions that are presented by a frozen ceiling, basically. But also that it's a bit of a ticking clock in some lakes, with only so much time before the oxygen levels drop too low. Now, the icy cloak enveloping the lake each winter doesn't just alter fish behavior, it reshapes the entire ecosystem under there. This frozen period is a time of subtle but profound ecological dynamics affecting organisms from microscopic level way up to top predators.
So it's like the lake kind of takes a deep, calming breath, slowing down, but still very much alive.
Exactly. The ice barrier changes the physical environment, but it also deeply influences interactions within the aquatic community. Microscopic organisms, plants, and all the way up to fish adapt to the challenges of winter, ensuring the cycle of life continues beneath the ice. Even tiny little zooplankton like Daphnia will adapt to changes. They can change their egg-laying behavior, and they can even shift their physiology to cope with lower oxygen levels. And then, as the season turns and the ice begins to thaw, the lake undergoes yet another transformation. Oxygen levels rise with increased air contact and enhanced photosynthesis. It revitalizes the underwater community.
Yep. Just as the fish and the fishing slows down as the winter progresses, it picks up real quick after the ice comes off in the spring. In fact, it can be some of the best fishing of the year.
Precisely, Edgar. The spring thaw brings a period of renewal and activity. Fish, invigorated by the increase in oxygen and food, become more active. This annual cycle of freeze and thaw, dormancy and awakening is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of life in our lakes.
Yep. And those fish, they're tough, and they always make me think twice before complaining about the cold.
And as we bid farewell to the ice for now, we're reminded of the enduring cycle of life beneath the surface. Stay curious and join us as we explore more wonders of the natural world in our next video.
Dive deeper with us into the marvels of ecology in our upcoming episodes. Together, let's keep exploring and conserving the beauty of our planet. Now, with that, I know every season brings its own adventure, so maybe I'll see you on the water or on the ice.